Hi and welcome to another session of advanced readings. This is a technique that we use in spiritualism a lot, and it also inspired me when I had the oracle readings through the Nadi oracles, where messages were given to me thousands of years in advance. Mind-boggling stuff. And also, of course, it's used in when you're using clairvoyance by email reading and sometimes by telephone. You know things before the person calls you. So I'm inspired by this technique and I hope it helps you. There could be a message here for you today. So you'll see me working in blue light for this, because this is how the medium can get close to spirit. We often use a red or blue light in my circle, particularly if you're doing physical or trance work. Anyway, hope you enjoy these sessions. Okay, then this next link, I'm sensing a lady in spirit who she worked at a pub. Might have been the landlady at the pub, because I'm hearing Fuller. Now I know Fuller could be her surname here, but Fuller's is a pub group, isn't it? And so I don't know if I'm confusing it here. I don't know if the name is Jackie and there's Fuller connected with it as a surname, but pub by name as well, because I'm seeing pubs with it. So I feel with her that she somehow worked with the pub. I think she must have been the landlady here, is the feeling I'm getting here, because I'm seeing the old style pubs, you know, the ones with bar billiards and snooker and that type of thing. It's not a pub for food, it's a pub that was a pub, as it were. And yet she's talking about someone living quite a healthy lifestyle, and is talking about playing tennis. So I'm not sure the recipient of this message, there may be something connected with you to do with tennis. So, you know, you're not a beer drinker, I don't think. You're a tennis player. This is what I'm getting. I'm getting that you're doing the sport, you're looking after yourself, and you're playing tennis, she's saying to me here. Now, the Jackie is the name of the lady in spirit, I feel, because I heard the name Jackie when I first started here, and she was she knew how to handle people too. She can be friendly, but I feel she can also be very strict. This is the feeling I get with her. And they kept an Alsatian dog too, because I'm seeing an Alsatian dog here owned by this lady. And she says to me, there's a lot of J's in the family, as it were. The initial J seems to be important through the family. We've got a Jenny, I think we've got a John. This is in the family, not Jackie. This is other people in the family. She's talking about a Jenny and a John and other J's, she says. We all seem to have lots of people with the letter J, all right. And she's, they had to put her in a retirement home at the end, she says. She had to go into a retirement home, and she's reaching out to the person that plays the tennis, or has been playing tennis, or watches tennis. There's an interest in tennis here, and there must have been a connection with you, because I think you both like to watch Wimbledon. This is what she's saying to me here. And there's and the dogs, mutual interest in dogs. And she said they had to close the pub down in the end, and in fact the pub's been knocked down now. She says the pub has been knocked down and it's been turned into a sort of a supermarket type area. I can see here the car parking been taken over, and the pub itself is completely gone. In fact, pretty much the whole building, apart from a few bits, has gone completely. And she's sad about that, because she really did love it, because she was a real member of the community, this lady. And there's also somebody, she used to have a friend who was a complete teetotaler. And she's talking about a friend she had that had strong sort of Christian links, and that the friend was in the, I think had been part of the Salvation Army. So there's this complete contrast, that she had a friend that she's talking who's in spirit with her, who they were completely different worlds. One was helping the people on the streets and those that had become alcoholics, and she's serving up the alcoholics, she says. So they were complete chalk and cheese, these two friends that she talks about here, and she says to the person that's receiving this message, just like the way she could be friends with the most different people to her, so you must be tolerant of others. I've got to say, she's talking about the importance of being tolerant of people that are completely different to you in temperament and in what they do. So this is the message for the lady that plays tennis, that's watching this, or has a tennis connection, and that's what Jackie has to say to you. Okay, so that's her message. So maybe that message was for you, and if it was, please do leave a comment in the comments below on YouTube so that other people can recognize that this is real. I mean, if you look back at some of the older videos, you'll see that some of the most strange and obscure messages have been taken to the letter, and there's been some interesting stories that have developed once a person has made the comment. So leave a comment, and even if the message isn't for you, it's still a good idea to leave a comment, because this helps Spirit to connect with us and maybe get you a message next time. Okay, I've got a message coming through now from a gentleman in Spirit that would have worked with the stock market a lot, because he's talking about having been involved in both London and New York with stock markets, and he's given me the feeling that he lived in both places in his life. He lived both in London for a while and he lived in New York for a while, and he was quite a whiz on the stock exchange. He knew what he was doing, he's saying. And when he was partners in a business that had some dealings with the stock exchange. So he's quite high up. He had quite a high, powerful position, is the feeling I'm getting. Because I'm seeing a man very well dressed. I feel he had dark hair when he was a young man, but it turned white, light grey, not white, greyish colours in it. But he had very jet black hair when he was a young man, he says. And right back when he was really starting out, and this is going back quite early on in his life, he had a little dark moustache. But he didn't have that later in his life, because he put weight on later in his life and it didn't look right on him for some reason. But he was a thin looking face when he was a young man, but fattened out, and had a little bit of a red tinge to his face too. Had a great love of all the good things in life, and money was very important to him, he tells me. And had he had a Lincoln car. So he had a really high quality car. So he obviously spent a lot of time in America, if he's telling me a Lincoln car. And he died with a lot of regrets, because he says that when he passed over, there was some big financial crash going on at the time as he died, you know, and I get the feeling that he couldn't do anything about it. He was in hospital, and he was hearing all this on the news, and he's like, oh, what are we going to do with this and this and that? And so he died with money on his mind, and in a way learned the lesson that money's not everything. I get that feeling with him. Now he's reaching out. Who's he reaching here to? I think he's reaching to a couple of people here, because he's reaching to both his son, who inherited the remnants of the business that was left, and also to some of his friends here. And he's talking about that we got to pull out of an investment. I get the sense I want to pull out of this investment. It's an investment that doesn't have anything to it. It's something like almost like a Bitcoins type thing. Is that type of feeling? I feel I want to move my money, because the way you've got it at the moment, it's vulnerable. And he's talking about putting the money into something safe for a while, because he's talking about some problems with the investments you've got at the moment. Okay. I've got to hear the name Paul here. It's a P name. I think it's Paul. And there might have been a Peter there too. I don't know if I'm Peter or Paul, but there's somebody, a P name, male, that would understand this. And there was the name Chapman's, okay? Chapman's. I don't know if that's an investment group or something. I get something with the name Chapman's. And there's also somebody here talking about, he's talking something about the German. I don't know if that's something to do, I heard like Slumberger, but is that a name? Something like that. that must be something relating to his past. Okay, so he's talking about how investments go up and down, right? And he's just telling you at the moment, if it gets through to the correct person here, that you've been thinking about what would he say, what would Dad say, because I feel the son is particularly connected with this, but I feel you might show this video to some other people. I can just feel the son, what would Dad have said? And he's saying, move it into something safe at the moment, because the investment you're in at the moment, a little bit dodgy. Okay, that's my message. Okay, I've got a gentleman talking to me here who it's going back some years, this must be, because I'm seeing what looks to me like the East End of London, and I'm seeing the sort of Barrow Boys type feel, and I'm hearing the name Arthur here, and Arthur also looked after the horses. So there's horses, so we are going back quite a long way here. But it connects through the family, that the family had something to do with this horses in the East End of London. So we're going back a long way here. Let's go. How close can you give something more modern? No, he would still be remembered. So he would have been a grandfather link for somebody who was also a bit later in life themselves, because you would remember him, he says. And we had the horses, and we used to pull the this is what he's, again, I'm back with the pubs link again, because I've got another pub thing here, because they got the horses are pulling the beer, it's alcohol on those wagons, he's saying to me here. And Arthur had he loved his horses, he loved that way of life, that was him through and through. And he said we used to also go down south to pick crops. I'm seeing him picking crops as well, something about picking crops. So we'd leave London and pick crops. And there was some connection also with I said East London, but I'm seeing another section of London. I'm seeing Finsbury Park, which is not East London. He said we also had friends who are now, I think the person I'm talking to lives in London, and I think they live close to Finsbury Park, that sort of area of London. So he's reaching out to someone who's in Finsbury Park, around that way. Finsbury Park, Camden, Hampstead, that type of, I think they're all collected close to each other. I'm seeing that type of feel he gives to me here. He was a real Cockney, because he speaks with a Cockney rhyming slang. And I can feel that in talking like that. And he ate a lot. What else are you telling me? He drank a lot. Okay. He's saying that he was very much a down-to-earth man, a man's man. And the person that he's reaching out to here, the person who would understand this link, has recently had an upsetting letter from the bank, I feel. And I feel something had gone wrong. I don't know, there'd been some fraud done on you or something like that. Someone had misused your card or something like that. And he's saying, and of course in his day it was all cash, I just want to say, I feel not to worry about that. I feel you're going to sort it out somehow. It's going to get sorted out and you're going to get the money back. They're going to refund you or something. Now you've proved it. Because he was always a very honest man. And he says people always want a dishonest penny rather than an honest sixpence. They'd rather get things dishonestly. And he used to experience that with his work, because he must have had time with the markets and things like that. And he's showing me, I'm seeing all old London here with the old docklands of London and markets and things like that. A very interesting character. And I've got to say, the person that's receiving this letter, remember his name is Arthur, he's talking about that you've been doing your family tree and you found links to somebody really important. And it reminds me of Winston Churchill, as if I've got somebody like that. A famous politician is kind of linked in your family tree that you've just discovered when you've been talking about this. And you remember Arthur, and you went back from him and you found that he had some interesting actual links in his family. It might be Nelson, but there's something like that coming in, because I heard the word Nelson. I don't know if Nelson is in the family tree somewhere. You found it to that. I don't think there's any connection between Churchill and Nelson, something like that. Anyway, there's something famous you found. And because I only get parts of it because I've got if I'm not getting a reaction from the person, you can understand it's hard to follow it through. But I'm just hearing, yeah, he's just saying keep doing that family tree because it's very interesting. You're going to discover a lot more, and you're going to get through that problem with the money. And don't forget, it's the simple things in life that are the important things. That's the way he seems to. All this money business and cards and people stealing from each other and spam phone calls and that. Nothing was like that in his day. You could look a person in the face and know whether they were no good or not, he says. So it's a little message there from another age, I think, that perhaps we could all learn a bit from. That it's the simple things in life, you know, and it gave me some fantastic images in my head. I wish I could explain them all, of where he used to live and things like that. He lived in an old terrace house, Carnarvon Street. I don't know if there's a street like that in the East End somewhere. Carnarvon, it sounded like Carnarvon Castle, Carnarvon Street. It's been pulled down now, he said, and there were rows of old terrace houses in Carnarvon Street, he's talking. Okay, so that's my message. That's my message from him. Hopefully the person's connected there. So I hope that helped, because it's lovely doing this and giving messages to people out there, and I know some of you get very excited by the messages that you get, so thank you for your feedback. And if you do enjoy watching all this, why not come and get a reading at my website, because I've got a team of readers, you know, that are on there 24/7, and there's lots of special deals there at the moment. For example, in the UK, if you're a new customer, you can use our welcome offer and get 29p a minute for the first 10 minutes, so you can try a reading for very little. Same with the USA, we've got 59 cents per minute for the first 10 minutes on the welcome offer. So thanks for watching my channel, and do come back and follow us. Click that little bell thingy at the bottom of the page there. We do loads of things here, as well as all these readings. We've got my family involved, we've got all sorts of investigations, we've got my mystic talks, so we're inspired, we got lots of readings. You'll see our stuff with the media and all sorts of things. So keep watching, and keep watching now, because coming up will be the playlist of more videos like this one today. So there could be another message there for you today.